Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Town of Lexington Planning Commission. This is our normal monthly meeting being held at Town Hall at 8 a.m. Wednesday, November 29th, 2023. This meeting is being broadcast live at the Town of Lexington YouTube channel. Speakers are asked to sign in the sign-in sheet, identify yourself, and address, and please speak into the microphone. I am Frank Berry, the chairman of Town of Lexington Planning Commission. Other Planning Commission members present are...
Good morning, I'm Jarrett Harrelson.
Good morning, Sammy Hendricks.
Good morning, Roscoe Kaufman.
Good morning, Jeannie Michaels.
Good morning, I'm Jamie Fight.
Good morning, I'm Joe Robertson.
Good morning, J.T. Stevenson.
Good morning, Rachel Moody.
Good morning, I'm Stuart Ford.
Good morning, I'm Brad Cunningham, town attorney.
At this time, I will ask Commissioner Michaels if she would lead us in invocation.
Let us pray. Lord, thank you for this beautiful day. May peace and love fill our hearts. Show us with the way of light and truth. Help us to be kind and patient. Guide us with your wisdom. In your Son's name, amen.
Please join me in the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This time, I'll call the meeting to order. We have no deletions to our agenda. Next, we have approval of the minutes from October.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. It is unanimous. We have no public presentations or old business, new business. Item number 1, site plan approval for storage units located at 5150 Sunset Boulevard. John?
Good morning. Storage Units Lexington has submitted a site plan to construct a new climate-controlled storage building at 5150 Sunset Boulevard. This project consists of a 106,680 square foot building with 800 storage units. Access to the site will occur through a shared driveway with the commercial center on the east side of the property. This project was originally approved, so this is not another storage project, but it was originally approved by staff when the property was annexed, but the plan was voided due to the connectivity to the commercial center on the west side of the property being removed. The developer is seeking a variance for this change that will be in front of the Board of Zoning Appeals next week. Otherwise, the project appears to meet the zoning and land development requirements that were in place at the time that it was permitted.
All right.
And there are representatives of Storage Units Lexington here if you have any questions, or if you have any questions for me.
The original plan, did it show the connectivity to the
It did.
parcel to the west?
It did.
And the plan that's before us shows no connectivity to the west.
It shows the connectivity up to the property line, but not
Through the parking
through the
lot.
parking lot.
All right.
Project meets the requirements except for that issue.
We put that connectivity ordinance in place several years ago, up and down 378.
The ordinance says must connect. Had this issue been brought to us before the construction began on the project, we would have required a variance to be obtained prior to. That did not occur. The information I have is from the property owner to the west is that they will allow connectivity, but not necessarily in the most convenient way, I guess, is maybe they can, we haven't been involved in the negotiations, so that developer can expound on that if you have any additional questions.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, there's nothing we can approve without a variance because with the connectivity ordinance. So are we here just to?
I think you have two options. You can maybe 3. You can deny it until a variance is obtained. You can deny it and authorize staff to approve it once a variance is obtained. I forgot what the third one was. Or you can approve it contingent on a variance being obtained. Sorry, I locked up there.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to hear from the developer on his negotiations as far as the connectivity.
Good morning. Tom Britt with HB Engineering, representing the developer who is also here that can also answer questions. But we worked with the owner probably over a month's time. Original plan, as you were told, did connect in the front, which we feel like is the intent of the ordinance. He did not want that. He's against having the traffic flow across from our parking lot through his parking lot. We offered him, do you have these maps that were presented? Exhibit A shows what was previously approved with a direct connection across the front. Exhibit B is one of the alternates that,
I'm sorry, Tom, they do not have.
They do not
Exhibit
have
A, B, C, and D. That went to the Board of Zoning Appeals.
okay,
I didn't give them all the different options.
okay. We tried 2 different alternates beyond the front connection, which again, we feel like is the intent of the ordinance. We tried an option where we were connecting and directing the traffic, connect to the side of his parking lot and directing traffic toward the back. So they at least have to come to a complete stop and then, then go toward the back of his parking lot and circle the back. He didn't like that one. The third option was to go down the side of our surrounding drive, head west across and connect to the side back of his parking lot, which would keep the cars from going in the front of his shopping center. He didn't like that either. So there's still too much traffic. He proposed that we basically build a bypass road around the back full length of his parking lot, and come out on the far west side where his dumpsters are, and connect there. That's about in the order of 400 feet on a very steep slope, which I think most everybody here is aware of the slopes on the north side of Sunset Boulevard. That would create the need to basically build a land bridge because of how steep the slopes are. It's not financially feasible for this project and probably for any project. It'd be on the order of $1 million plus. We'd have to remove his dumpster enclosures, build the bypass road, reinstall the dumpster enclosures behind that. We'd have to have a totally separate stormwater control facility for this bypass road. It would also create clearing approximately an acre of trees on this slope, and then, of course, adding all that impervious pavement around the back of his parking lot. But more importantly, we think that it's nowhere close to meeting the intent of the ordinance. It's basically an attempt to create a route that would discourage its use. So we see no benefit in it at all. And so we're asking, I guess, a contingent approval today of the site plan where we build the front connector as far as we can, as close to the property line as possible without being on his property, so that when he is motivated to allow the connection, then we can make the connection in the front where we feel like it most meets the intent of the ordinance.
So what conversations were involved prior when you initially submitted the site plan showing connectivity?
We didn't have any direct communications at the time. That goes back 2 years or so. I can't quite remember. We knew that he had allowed connection to the Aldis on the other side. I know him. He's a former client or potentially an ongoing client of mine. I didn't expect any issues. I didn't know that he could not comply to the ordinance. I thought it was just a matter of working out the details and easements and that sort of thing, which it was on the east side with that owner. So this caught us off guard, that we're required to comply to an ordinance that somebody else can prevent. He's not technically preventing it by asking us to build a bypass road around it, but that is bypassing the ordinance in our opinion. So that's why we're here. And I do want to mention also that compensation or money was brought up, and he said there's nothing we can discuss as far as money. He's adamant he does not want traffic going across his parking lot.
John, when was that ordinance put in place?
It's been part of the land development ordinance for years. I don't know exactly when it was originally put in, but it was actually, when we did the ordinance rewrite a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, it was actually strengthened. I do have to take a bit of objection to Mr. Britt's assertion of what the intent is, because I'll read the ordinance to you. It says, new commercial developments projects must connect to existing parking lots. Doesn't say should, doesn't say maybe, doesn't say negotiate, it says must. And had we had this discussion prior to the project beginning construction, we might have been able to resolve some of these issues.
All right. Thank you, sir. Anybody else before you leave? All right. Anybody else have anything?
I'll just add real quick, I think while the front connection is certainly more ideal than the rear connection, I think the rear connection is better than no connection at all, as shown.
All right. Do we have a motion? Don't everybody speak at once.
Motion to deny until house staff, the town staff can approve connectivity.
It's, I think you're talking about the receiving a variance from the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Well, John said, staff could work on.
You could authorize staff to approve it once a variance has been granted. Staff cannot approve it unless a variance is granted. Nor can the Board of Zoning, nor can this board grant it without a variance.
So you want to amend that?
Deny it until a variance is obtained.
Do you want it to be approved at staff level?
Yes, come back to staff.
So we have a motion of denial,
But authorization.
but authorization for staff once and if a variance is obtained from their variance meeting next week.
Yes.
Everybody understand that?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. That is unanimous. Item number 2, simple property subdivision of 2 additional commercial lots at 57.5 Sunset Boulevard. John?
MME Property LLC has submitted a plan to subdivide 2 additional commercial lots from property located at 5075 Sunset Boulevard. This subdivision was originally approved in 2007 as a 4-parcel commercial subdivision. 2 lots fronting on Sunset Boulevard were parceled out and developed many years ago. One of them is a bank and the other one is a vacant building at this time. Used to be a mattress firm in there, believe it or not. The applicant is requesting to create 2 second-row parcels accessed by a private driveway from the remaining property. And I don't know who's here. Ryan Wingert is here to speak on the property owner's behalf if you have any questions.
All right. Would you like to?
Yes, please. Good morning. I'm Ryan Wingard. I work with the Davis Law Firm here in Lexington. I am here on behalf of the property owner, MME Properties, and Mrs. Chen, who is a potential buyer for one of those out parcels. As John stated, it originally came in as a 4-parcel, and then it stopped because of the recession. We're back here now to try to get that subdivided and approved. One of the issues here is the interconnectivity, which I'll just address with the last group, but we do, we're going to ask that y'all waive that on this one, and because of that, it is impossible. The target is right beside it. The original plan showed interconnectivity prior to the ordinance ever being done. But now, since Target has been developed, there are slope easements and a buffer between the two properties where this interconnectivity could go. And the parties have litigated over that interconnectivity already, and according to the property owner, they lost. I have copies of that, so I don't think it's even possible to have interconnectivity on this one. So it will never be able to be developed. But another portion of this property is the back portion. When we do subdivide it, if you approve it, the large 4 acres in the back is down a deep slope, and that will be conveyed to property that Carson Corley owns, so it will have access to 378, and it will not be landlocked. There is currently a shared access to maintain these roads, so that is covered. It's not going to be it's not. We're not asking the town to take it, but if the town wants it at some point, obviously they can have it. The other issue we'd like to address is the turn lane. We would ask that it not be required to put in, but as the original plan did not have that. But if it's the only way to get it approved, we will work on getting a turn lane installed. If the town is requiring to have the interconnectivity or the turn lane, it might be easier for the town just to condemn it, because the parties have litigated over it. We will not be able to do so. That's it.
I have a few questions, so just for clarification purposes. That was a lot. But so your client developed the Target Center as well, correct? Or sold the property?
I think he sold the property to them.
So did he not deed an easement from Target for connectivity? Because that would just be the logical thing you do. Right, you own a piece of property next door to it, you submit a site plan originally showing connectivity, you have an easement, and there's no legal recourse in between there. So just trying to figure out, I wasn't here when that was voted on, so I'm trying to get a little lay of the land of what transpired at that time.
I was not part of it either, and I think Dwight Corley was the lead on that. And there was an easement granted to Target for a slope and a buffer. It appears that the Corleys thought that they were going to have an easement for interconnectivity, and then they found out they did it, and then they sued over that. And they sued Edens, who developed for Target. And I have that paperwork, and according to Carson, Dwight's son, they lost. And all we can see on the record is a stipulation of dismissal. So there was no grants of easements, and it's that buffer and that slope will prevent it.
You mentioned the back 4 acres would have access to 378. How are you proposing that?
I have the GIS maps, but
Is it through the access road for these 4 parcels, or is it further down the street?
so you see right here, this is right here would be basically the cutoff. This would connect to this. So this has lots of frontage right here.
So they would access it where they're currently accessing it with all
Right.
the dump trucks now.
And it appears this is already being used down here for
road that goes to the dump trucks go in.
This is not the map we have. Yeah.
Well, it won't, I guess he would join it up with that other piece of property to have one continuous piece of property at some point.
By the Auto State Bank Road.
Has, any consideration to connectivity been thought about from your all standpoint to Arthur Boulevard?
To my knowledge, no. The original plan showed connectivity to Target, and that's one we are saying is impossible. We have not, I don't have any knowledge of the other owners on the
I know the original plan showed
West
that,
side.
now you're bringing in a new plan, so it would fall under the new connectivity ordinance, correct, John?
Sorry.
The original plan showed the connectivity to Target, which was denied. They're coming back asking for subdivision of the 4 lots. Connectivity would be required under this submittal now, correct?
Yes. I mean, yes, connectivity would be required. But I think the argument is that they can't do it on the west side. Oh, on Arthur Boulevard?
Right, we're saying
So,
that,
yeah, so if that property were developed independent of the subdivision, we would require it to be shown on the
future connectivity.
on the site plan as
Future connectivity.
because they don't own the property on the Arthur Boulevard side. So once the Arthur Boulevard side property owners either redeveloped or developed, then we would already have it on a plan of where they would connect.
Gotcha. All right, any more questions,
They
comments?
said they hadn't pursued that angle of it on the Auto State Bank, on that road. Is that something they could pursue?
We can put it for future
Put a motion
connectivity.
in our-
Connectivity, okay.
And Arthur State Bank will have to show it too.
All right, any questions for the applicant again?
I
Yes,
will
sir.
say, Mrs. Chen, the buyer, has said she can show it on a plat going through the proposed lot that she wants to buy, so that if Arthur's ever wants to buy it or is at it, she could do that. But obviously, she can show it on a survey.
All right,
That's what we would require for that.
yes. All right, thank you so much. All right. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve with the requirements of a decel lane on 378 and future connectivity on the backside of Arthur State Bank. And I would like future connectivity shown for Target, so if anything does change, that at least on there is a possible future connectivity. I understand the situation now, but at least if we can show it on the site plan.
Follow up on that, can we show it stopping short of the easement? I'm afraid if I touch the easement, show it touching, we will be sued.
You mean short of the property line?
The easement is.
It's your easement, right? It's their
No, no,
easement.
no,
I thought the
it's-
buffer and the slope was the
was
easement.
granted to Target
Okay.
over our property. So if I cannot go into their easement. So I'm asking if I can stop short of that easement on your approval. So that, I'm afraid if we touch it,
Yeah, you'd have to.
we would get sued.
I think as long as all we want to do is show for future, if for some reason Target changed their mind that there is potential connectivity, not required, understand your situation on the Target side. So, I mean, I'm assuming stub it.
Why don't we do it condition, they work with staff to come up with a
Viable solution.
solution of a stopping point for it. Does that work?
I'm not sure I quite understand. The easement is on Target's property, right?
It is, it's right here.
Okay.
Here's the property line.
Sure.
Let's see, we don't have, this just shows a door.
Okay, we won't
One
have-
of the super long easements. It's boring to read, but this is the property line. target, this is our property, here's that buffer, so it comes into the property.
Show it up.
Just show it the buffer line,
The buffer line.
like a stub.
Show it straight to the buffer line.
Straight to the buffer.
That's primarily engaged target, sells the property to somebody else, and they may
Granted.
grant it.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll work that out with our attorney and this attorney and figure out how to make that happen.
All right. Any other questions, comments? Do I have a motion?
Already made the motion, I need a second.
Can you repeat it?
Yeah, sure. I make a motion to approve with a decel lane on 378, also with showing connectivity to Arthur State Bank side property and onto the target's future potential connectivity to the target side.
All right. And we got a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. It is unanimous. Thank you very much. Item number 3, annexation of Lexington County Tax Map 549601031, located at 186 Zinker Road.
Believe it or not, the next couple are gonna get a little easier than the first two. The Bruce Gates Estate owns 72 acres located at 186 Zinker Road and has petitioned to annex the property. A 218-unit subdivision is being planned on the site. Properties in town near this one are zoned industrial, and Zinker Road is classified as a local road. The property is shown on the future land use map as being zoned industrial. For the proposed project to be compliant with the zoning ordinance, it will need to be annexed with protected residential zoning. The recommended classification of Zinker Road is a local road. Entertain any questions or?
You have any questions for John? We're good for you.
I'll just say, Mr. Chairman, I got to recuse myself on this item and number 4.
All right, thank you, sir. All right,
We move from industrial to PR1.
so the question before us is a recommendation of zoning and road classification. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to deny based on our comprehensive plan that this is zoned industrial and it's not residential. I mean, it's been on our new comp plan for, a year or two now?
18 months. I believe.
18 months. So in my opinion, we need to deny the project.
You're denying, you're recommending against annexing the property with protected residential zoning.
Correct, leaving it as industrial.
All right, we have a motion.
You want to hear? You got people who want to talk.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Would anyone like to speak? All right.
Thank you all for your time this morning. I'm Rob Merrick. I'm with Pulte Homes, and just wanted to kind of have a little clarification, and understanding. We understand that this project has been brought before you before, but we've been working through this, and we're new to the table on this one, and we've been working with staff diligently to go through this project, as well as the engineer, with Josh Raven with CE, who has been on the project since 2021. It's been our understanding that since this time frame, and the biggest, it wasn't from past PC conversations, discussion, administration, and staff, it wasn't the residential zoning that was being opposed to as it was to the density that was being proposed at this location. So based on those densities that we've been working with staff, and I think they'll tell you over the last 3-4 months now, as well as transportation and all these things to work through these different issues that were brought up to us. Part of that density request was a PR2 density along in 2021, which was a 355 units on this 72-acre site. Well, to combat that, we went back in concessions. We went back to that and we're requesting a much lower density on the zoning on the residential side of it. That residential side will take our density down roughly 40% to 218 units, so 355 units to 218 units. One of the other things that we found that was of concern was the existing buildings that were industry businesses around it. To also help mitigate some of that, provide concessions, the PR zonings that are in place do not provide a significant buffer around the property. So we did a self-imposed buffer around, adding 50-foot and self-imposed buffer on the side of the property of the business to the north, also adding a berm along that so we can help support that and be able to continue to have some natural look along there so you're not looking at existing business. We're also doing that to the front side of the property. We also work with transportation to be able to make sure we got the two entrances coming in and out, and they've also designated another area, an intersection that they would like us to take a look at, which we've got Kimley Horn at this time, engineering, pulling counsel on that to be able to help support that as well, which was requested by the town. So, also with that being said, we understand that the comprehensive plan is in there, but also right to the south of that property is starts residential along that comprehensive plan. The property also backs up to the community park that you have. We would think that, as an ideal situation, having a residential community backing up to a community pedestrian park with families, kids, and things like that would be an ideal location for this. The other side of that is that if it is industrial, we understand that. We had that, well, there could be future complaints from residents and things like that with businesses and things. Well, when you have the known there, you can help mitigate that. You know what you're buying into at that point. They know the businesses are there. We're mitigating the property to bring the buffers and do that, to be able to work through that. Having the unknown, the south side of it, you go with the residential, you have the unknown of what industrial is going to come in there. If the residential housing comes before the industrial, yes, you are going to get complaints from that point because they don't know what's going to come in before you know it. A new, larger business is going to come in, which will affect the residents down to that. So we request that you please consider this as a residential location. It is ideal. It works well within the community. We'd be great partners. We've worked diligently with staff to be able to get the density that they would like to see in this location, as well as the traffic improvements over there.
Well, while I agree with a lot of the selling points you're stating, it is, in the comp plan, we took a very hard look at that area, and it's directly across from International Paper. It is a highly industrial area, and there's at some point we have to have the cutoff. Where's that cutoff going to be? And that's why your project density-wise is much better than future projects, past projects we had. Also, the past projects that were mostly presented were prior to the change of the comp plan and the land use map that we just adopted 18 months ago. So that's why I feel that it needs to stay industrial for those reasons. I understand the backside's a park and everything on the backside of the project, but that's more of in my opinion, more of a selling point to sell the homes on that side versus leaving it where we are currently.
And that line is directly below
Yeah, well, you have a creek that runs through it and everything.
It's right there at that point. So, you could have the residential. So you're going to be abutting the same thing to industrial.
Well, I wouldn't say it's right there at the point. It's directly across the street from International Paper, the entrance.
And we've also, and that's where the buffers come in to be able to provide that. To abut, it would also abut too. If the south of that property of where our line is, you have suburban residential. So you bring industrial on this site, you've got the same exact thing. You're
which that project was well before any of the changes that took place. And not saying that's not an ideal spot for it either, but I'm just saying can't correct the past, right? We can only go to the future, and that's why the plan and the comp plan is for future growth and development.
As a suggestion as well, and the ideal that this.
Well, it's not a suggestion. It's
right.
We put it in place. It's not a suggestion. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? I know we're also in limbo with Lexington County as to this new ordinance with municipalities and road, who's going to accept roads, who's not going to accept them, who's doing what with stormwater. So we're still in limbo with that as well as the county. So we also kind of feel like if we accept that, we're putting a responsibility on the town that the town is not able to address right now with road maintenance.
Unless requested withdrawal. May we do that?
What, I just wanted to clarify, this is, what they just voted on is a recommendation to annex the property with industrial zoning, contrary to what you need. This item, if the property owner wants it to continue to move forward, it can go to town council, with regard to the annexation. If town council views it as residential property, they don't have to follow the planning commission's recommendation.
And I understand that.
So, you know, this is step one in a three-step process. So if you want to withdraw, then I'm assuming you're withdrawing item 4 on the agenda.
We'd withdraw it.
Okay. Well, I have a motion on the floor. Second, kind of explain. I'm denying the change of classification of the zoning, not your actual site plan.
Understood.
That's with some clarification. I'm denying the industrial to PR1.
But we can't get to the site plan without the zoning. So, right. Yeah.
They cannot review your site plan with the recommended zoning classification that they've made on the annexation. If town council changes or decides contrary to that recommendation and comes back and annexes the property residential, you could bring the same project back.
I'd rather continue to have conversations and work through this versus going that route.
All righty. Thank you very much.
Thank y'all.
Josh, did you want to say anything?
I withdraw my motion since the applicant withdrew the project.
All right. So item number 3 and number 4 have been withdrawn. Item number 5, annexation of Lexington County Tax Map 5596-01016, located at 5079 Augusta Road. John?
5079 Augusta Road LLC owns 4.6 acres located at that address and has petitioned to annex the property. Currently, a single-family home that is being converted to office space is located on the site. Properties in town near this one are zoned industrial and general commercial. Augusta Road is classified as an arterial road. Due to the surrounding conditions and the use of the property, general commercial zoning is recommended and arterial road classification is recommended for Augusta Road.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't have any announcements. I would just like to say I'm happy to be here and I look forward to working with you all.
I'm good, sir. Thank you.
Yes, the Snowball Festival starts Thursday evening with the market, Christmas market. And Friday night, we light up all the lights in town. It's a good festive night. Saturday, we have a carnival, and Sunday is the parade to wrap up a 4-day Snowball Festival for the town.
Mr. Gavin, thank you for coming. Would you like to say anything?
No, just thanks for having me.
All right. Anyone else have anything? No public comments? This meeting is adjourned. Thank you for watching the Town of Lexington Planning Commission in action. This meeting was held at Town Hall at 8 a.m. Wednesday, November 29th, 2023. The recording of this meeting can be viewed online at the Lexington YouTube channel.
The annexation.
On behalf of the Town of Lexington Planning Commission and staff, I wish you a good day. I'm done.
He didn't make a motion to adjourn it either.
Without objection, we'll adjourn.